We're live. We're live, by the way. But it does. Like, here, I'll bring the graphic up. Wait, where am I? Oh, that's right. Okay. Where did I put that graphic? Uh, there you go. This is Kick. Oh, that's not Kick. Oh no. uh, okay, let's bring Kick back. Here's Kick. There he is. See, this is a very accurate photo, wouldn't you say, Gick? See, there's the cat. You notice how you don't have a mouse? It's because the cat took it. Yeah. And we lock the door with bars so he can't get out. He has no windows, but we do give him a picture of the Earth so that he doesn't feel trapped, you know? We want him to know that there's a big world out there, and he's not allowed to see it until he's done mapping. Yeah. I never checked it. Look, can you talk for a sec? Oh yeah. You've been muted the whole time, but that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'll fix it. It's all better now.
So people didn't hear my screams and my complaints.
No. No one heard you
So
screaming.
all they heard was your description of how wonderful my life is.
Yes.
Okay, great. What a coincidence.
It's wonderful. Yeah, you see, you have plants. This
They're
cup.
fake.
This it is fake. This cup. The water drips from the ceiling, and it fills it up naturally. So it's like a never-ending water supply.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to wait for a week until you take the next shower for me to get more drops of water.
Sometimes it does happen. Yeah. We even let him have a light, although we don't turn it off. It's permanently on.
Yeah. And normally, like what you see here is that I guess I would be able to close my eyes. That in fact is not true. Normally I have straps around my eyes which keep them open, and I can remove them.
True. Yeah, you can't see the chains. That there is a chain around his ankle. It's big enough that he can use the whole desk, but it's not big enough that he can go out the door.
Yeah.
And this might look like a window, but it's bricked. It's bricked out.
Yeah, there is a window, but behind the window there are bricks. It was closed.
Yeah, this is we just wanted you to know. This is how Gick lives. And that just to compare it to my setup. Yeah.
Actually, yours looks a lot smaller.
Well, mine is more zoomed in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also, I can go outside.
Yeah, that's true.
And Geek only gets one monitor.
Correct.
Yeah. Efficiency. It's all about efficiency for me.
Okay. Yeah, there's no bed.
Yeah. People, if you want to call 911, I'll try to hide some messages which might give away the location.
Oh, they'll never find it. Why are both China's Ukraine? That is a good question. That's a good question. Why are both China's Ukraine? That's just the end state of this war we're in, okay? Also, there's another thing I'd like to talk about. The topic of today's post or stream is Giks and Goats, and there have been a lot of goat vehicles recently, and I know goat is not the common parlance or common name for this vehicle, but I'm going with the name goat because I like it. Okay, so I know other people have other names for it. There are a lot of names. This vehicle's been around since the 70s, and it's gotten a lot of official names and a lot of nicknames. Like in Germany, it was called a Tiger. But we're not calling it a Tiger. We're calling it a goat. So here's a goat. And I just wanted to throw that out there.
Is there any reason, like, is it related to any event?
Well, remember the other day when there was a goat driving down a road and it hit a mine and exploded?
Mm-hmm.
That was a goat.
Tell me more.
Yeah, it was full of people.
Oh, right. And what happened?
The people flew away.
Pretty far.
Yeah.
You want to know something?
Yeah.
I saw a comment where someone said, "Can't you at least like close the ceilings of those vehicles so the bodies wouldn't fly so far, such that it doesn't look like that?"
Well, this is that same vehicle, but this one has canvas on top
and the doors.
indoors.
Yeah.
Well, the other one had doors too. It just didn't have the canvas top of the door.
I thought it was open.
No. They had doors. And there was another goat yesterday. This one was a Ukrainian goat. It fell in a crater, which is your favorite. And then it had a drone destroyed it after it fell in the crater. But yeah, there's been a bunch of goats. I've been labeling the goats as goats, and people are very confused. They're like, what is a goat? So I just want to officially state, this is a goat. I'm going with the name goat because I like it. There are like 1,000 words for this vehicle, and only one of them is goat. But that was my favorite one, so I'm going with it. The same way I picked the loaf. Loaf is my favorite, and goat is my favorite. And they're both made by the same company, and they both have the same dead eyes. Look at those soulless eyes.
So, is there a name for the golf cart?
Well, unfortunately, I can't really. I mean, it's called a Desert Cross 1000-3. So
yeah, but that name is like, it's also way too long for the spreadsheet. I noticed that a couple of times.
I know it's annoying. Well, the nickname is Golf Cart, so
maybe we need to reclassify all of them.
okay, maybe we can. Yeah, I didn't know how to classify it because it's not a civilian vehicle, so I couldn't call it that. But it's not like an armored vehicle or an armored fighting vehicle, and it's not a truck, so we didn't have a classification for it. So I just called it other.
Yeah, and I always call it ATV. I guess that comes close.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but the way the spreadsheet works, ATV isn't a vehicle type.
Yeah.
I mean, I could make it one. That's a spreadsheet. But
yeah, I guess that makes sense. Ukraine also has a bunch of ATVs, right?
Yeah.
Where do you put the buggies and the quad bikes and so on?
I usually put them under civilian.
Maybe we need ATV.
Yeah, could do that. Anyway, that's a goat. So that's the Giks and the Goats. That's the.
But there's only one gig.
Yes.
But there's a Dirk now.
There's a Dirk.
Gig and a Dirk. Actually, that sounds like a good team.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here, and I'm gonna click this. I'm really hoping this button does what I want it to. Will it? Yes, we did it. Okay. I like how whenever something happens, it briefly shows a flirk. Anyway, so I made a little list of things to talk about. I asked you for input, and then you didn't give any. So, okay. So, I think I kind of want to do them in reverse order that I wrote them in, which means nothing to any of you. But the first thing that I just wanted to bring up, just because I think it's interesting. It's interesting to me. It doesn't actually mean anything to anybody, so you might all think it's stupid. But to me, it's interesting. We've been mapping a lot of MRL strikes recently, And I really like to map the entire extent of the strike because I think it's interesting to have on the map. And I don't know if Gik likes it, but I like it. I like having the full thing there so we could see like where they hit. So just like, because we could easily have mapped this as one dot and just said there's MRL here, right? We could have put a dot like right there or something, but we didn't. We like mapped the whole extent of the strike, and I just think that's interesting. And there's been a lot lately, and you can see kind of like the how devastating MRL can be. There's been a few larger strikes. Oh, well, this is a MRL strike too. So this one is a little bit different in that first there was a string of rockets that kind of went across the town, and then they followed up that with a bunch of cluster munitions on the northern part of the town, which was interesting. And you can click the video and kind of, I guess I can show this. Should I show it?
If you want, it's super boring. I mean,
well, anyways, I just find it interesting, the MRLs.
Yeah.
And
today I did another one. I just don't remember where I even geolocated them.
Yeah, it was in the same like. Anyway, it was here.
Oh, Rostov-Livka, yeah.
Yeah. So I just think it's interesting having the full extent of the strike. So when you like zoom out, you can see how big an MRL strike really is. Especially like when you like zoom out, you're like, wow, it's like a lot of area hit by a single artillery piece simultaneously. You know, that's the way I kind of think of it, and I just think it's something to bring attention to. So I made that a topic of conversation. There's not really much else to say other than.
Well, there is something to say that if you watch those MRL strikes, typically, you know, the Grad strikes, it really seems rather accidental if they hit something. So that weapon really is more of an aerial denial.
Well, can watch this. Like none of these like show injury or anything like that because it's just shooting rockets into grass and trees occasionally. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you can just see how many of them just land somewhere completely randomly.
Yeah, like in the middle of this field. I don't even know what they're shooting at, to be honest. So that's kind of that. And you can see, I mean, we post all the videos, so you could watch the videos if you want. Now, and also imagine, like, shooting these rockets into a random field is one thing, but they don't only shoot them in the random fields. Like, they shoot them in the Kherson. So just imagine that sort of volley where it would, like, cover, like, half the city, you know? And rockets landing throughout the city. And this happens on, a daily basis. And it creates this sort of damage that you see. Okay, so the other day they shelled Nikopol with MRLs. I can't remember what day it was. It was a few days ago. Yeah, it was the 4th. And just imagine that sort of shelling. It like one battery could cover probably the entire city, and they're wiping out buildings doing this. So just keep that in mind. And that's partly why I want to map those shellings when they happen in like a random field, so that you can get an understanding of how big of a little oval it does. And then when you see it happen in a city or in a town that's full of civilians, you can imagine how much damage it's doing. Anyways, so that's one topic. The next topic is our friend's favorite topic, and it is airstrikes hitting defensive fortifications. So we've had a bunch of I guess I can play this video too. We've had a bunch of videos like this recently of these airstrikes hitting pretty much exactly the middle of a defensive trench system. Do you want to talk about this Gik? Because
No, it's been frustrating me because sometimes you see those fabs just landing somewhere randomly, but recently we have seen quite a bunch of those strikes really accurately. There was one in Chasif Yar,
Yep.
which is and on Discord in our dooming channel, I did post the comparison image of how this looks like from the top, and you will see that both areas are trench systems. So this is a horrible strike because also like of course you can dig in, right? But a lot of what you dug will not suffice against the fab falling on top of you.
I think this video, I don't know if you saw this video, but it's the same airstrike. You
just
can
with the other one visible.
Yeah, it's just from a different angle. So right here, you can see the trenches, right? And there's more trenches there. And you can see this like white line is trenches. So yeah. So this is the same. So you can see the trench line there. And you can see there's more trench there. It's kind of faint, but you can see the trenches, right?
Yeah, and you need to be aware that a lot of times where you have those visible trenches, you also have underground trenches as well.
Yeah.
So what you see there, and you might think, oh, it didn't hit that trench. The network is likely bigger than you see. So those hits are devastating.
Yeah. So this is a really big deal. This is a very important development that we're seeing these airstrikes apparently more accurate than they used to be. Not always, though. That's the weird thing. It's like sometimes they're wildly inaccurate still, but sometimes they're really accurate.
Do you want to show the one on the road?
Oh yeah,
in
do you remember when
Novoprokopivka? Yeah, it was north of Verbove, the road. It was I think 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
There, yeah. I mean, you can argue if that was the target. I assume it was, to be honest. And pretty much all 3 of them hit. The 4th one might have been aiming somewhere else, but yeah, this is not good. We need to do something against it.
Yeah, and these are obviously to create craters, and that's I assume that's the 4th bomb.
Yeah, and that might not have missed. It could have been targeting there. And those 3,
yeah, and you can
most likely
see craters. Yeah, these are to create craters, and you can see there's tracks here too. I don't know what those tracks are. But this might all be something. I don't know.
Yeah. So denying the airspace is really one of the priorities right now, because like trenches are, they're not enough to defend against it.
Yeah. So this is roughly the maximum range of their bombs. So you would need air defense to cover this entire bubble, basically. Obviously, the outer part of the bubble is more important. We also saw, I can't remember what day that was. Okay, here it is. This is the flight path of their bomber. As it came through, it dropped bombs somewhere. I can't remember where. I think it may have been these bombs. I'm not sure. But this is the flight path it took. And I'll go to this button so it's easier to see. And so it took off from this airport. It flew west and then straight north. It dropped bombs here. So it bombed somewhere. Maybe those bombs? I can't remember. Doesn't really matter. But it dropped its bombs there and then flew straight west. And the video ended here. I can show this video, I think. it's kind of boring.
A bit surprising to me is that it would fly best there, because you would expect that it would try to get as far away as possible from
You
the
think
front
so,
line.
but it has no fear apparently. So all these fields, when it points straight down, is how it's geolocated. We did not find them, but yeah. So these are the airstrikes it dropped, and this one part here you can see the bomb falling out. I don't know if you missed that, but that's the bomb it dropped, and then it flew out and hit that, and
Well, to be fair, it's cut. It could be another plane which targeted.
sure,
there,
but it
of course.
doesn't matter. Like where this particular plane's bomb went doesn't really matter. But this is the flight path of that plane. Oops, I'm drawing like circles all over the place. So yeah. So it was well. Okay, so how far is this from the front? I never actually measured it. Here, let's just draw like a 40-kilometer circle. Yeah. So it was about 40, 50 kilometers from the front that whole time. So if we had a weapon that could shoot that far, maybe it could be engaged. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you already saw it, but today there were images about potentially new fabs with rocket propulsion.
Yeah.
So it looks like they are working on extending the range of those, which of course would be a bit depressing.
Yeah.
There was more than enough time to deal with the issue, but
As per usual, the West waited as long as possible. Waited until it was too late to respond. Anyways, so that is another topic. I do like. There's so much that could be said about this, but also so little that I feel like saying. It's obviously a huge problem. These airstrikes are a massive problem. To me, the bigger problem are the recon drones, because these airstrikes wouldn't do anything without recon drones. The recon is what's finding the targets and relaying the coordinates and all that. So to me, the recon drone is the number one priority to get rid of. But there's no answer to that. So then the plane becomes kind of a secondary target. But there's no answer to that either.
Yeah, and the combination of more accurate fabs and recon drones lead to loss of SPGs to fabs now suddenly.
Yeah, which happened yesterday.
Exactly.
Where was that? I can't remember where it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember it as well. We need to geolocate it again live.
You would.
It's only damaged, so it might be an airstrike symbol, and it was 4 airstrikes in total, each hitting a warehouse.
You'd think. Oh, this must be it.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna skip to just the end of this video. Okay. So
And to be clear, what you skipped now is that one AS90 was driving into the garage there, and it was well observed by that Orlan.
Yeah, I just didn't want to show that part because it shows people and stuff.
Yeah, but those people are cleaning the floor. They're walking away from it. They should be fine. I hope.
But you can see the vehicle here. This is the barrel. That's the muzzle brake. This is the barrel. This is the body of the vehicle. I genuinely have no idea how damaged this is. This could be anywhere from not damaged at all to completely demolished. I literally cannot tell. So I marked this as damaged, leaning towards destroyed. I just have I don't know how to handle it because it's an armored vehicle, right? Like it could survive maybe. Like I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, Erland, what's your take? Is it gone?
I think it is as gone as the Archer.
It's gone as the
That's-
archer.
There was a second Archer today, and
That's the archer he's talking about.
Yeah. Which
is it
means
the
we don't
same?
know.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a second Archer today, and I lean towards that needs to go back to Sweden for repairs. That it's not destroyed.
No. Where was that archer?
We didn't geolocate it. The video
Okay.
didn't have too many details.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
yeah,
it was
like
it was in the north. It was around Kupiansk area.
Yeah.
At least that's what they stated.
It's very frustrating that these recon drones are flying wherever they want.
So I mean, those are the priority issues, I guess, right now, because I personally think that Russian offensive capability currently almost entirely depends on those airstrikes.
Yeah. Well, just the drones in general. They rely on their recon drones to basically do everything. Without those drones, they would be paralyzed. Like I don't think they would be able to function as a military without those drones. They don't have satellite. Well, they can buy Chinese satellite, and I'm sure they do, but they don't have their own military satellites. And their command structure is so top heavy. It's I don't know. Like I really think without these drones, Russia would be very different. They wouldn't be able to do these precision strikes. They wouldn't be able to do their missile strikes. No bombing. It'd all be gone without these long-range recon drones. Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not talking about like Mavics. I'm talking about Zalas. We're talking about Supercams and Orlan 30s.
I think on the short term, the only thing that can economically take these down is fighter planes. There are a bunch of Sidewinders lying around in Europe that needs a launch platform in the skies.
Yep. Hopefully. I mean, there's another event that happened this week, right? Sweden. We have our buddies in NATO. We have a new friend. And this friend happens to have a big air force.
True.
And one of their planes happens to be called Gripen.
And the manufacturer is called Saab, and they really, really need to sell more airplanes to other customers.
Yeah, they sure do. And what better place to market your engineering than Ukraine?
Well, I'm sure it's not in Hungary.
Yeah. So, do you think they're playing like the long game there? They're like, maybe the front line will eventually get the hungry. Yeah. So there is some possibility that the Gripen could be in Ukraine soon. I don't know how soon. I don't know what that means. Like, does be in Ukraine mean start training pilots from scratch? Maybe.
Well, I mean, Saab did state earlier last year, I think it was in October, that they finished introduction training on Gripens for a number of Ukrainian pilots.
Yeah, there was an article in February, I think, stating that Ukrainian pilots are flying the Gripen.
Yeah, the Ghost Gripen.
The Ghost Gripen, yeah.
I mean, if they continued their training after that confirmation that they had completed introduction training on the aircraft, I wouldn't be surprised if they're either capable of flying it in combat missions or at least close to. But we don't know anything about that training continuing. So we'll see.
But we do expect an official information, I guess, soon, right?
Well, I have a Swedish friend, and you know him too. He repeats it many times a week that they are coming.
Yeah,
They are coming any day now.
He has said tomorrow every day for the past month.
Yeah, but to be fair, but he did make it dependent on one event, and that event only happened like Hungary really stretched it out.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And then they managed to get 4 Gripens in the deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Did they steal them from Ukraine, or what happened? You know.
I heard that Saturday is a good day to make Gripen news.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe this is the day you're gonna do your prediction. I did mine last time. It didn't turn out very well.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful of your predictions. You never know. It's like rubbing a jar and a genie coming out and giving it a wish. You have to be careful. You could say, "I want to have $1 million," and then it'll turn you into a bucket of money. And you'd be like, "I didn't want to be the money. I just wanted it." You have to be careful.
Problem is that Sweden is currently occupied invading Norway with Finland.
It happens. Did the Joint Air Command thing, is that a thing now, or is it going to take time still?
I think probably within a couple of months we're going to see something more concrete about it, but the intention agreement has been signed. Those things normally take quite a while to set up, but I'm expecting some sort of ceremony soon.
Yeah. So
it's a very big news, actually, like incredibly important. It's going to be probably the largest air force in Europe, I guess.
Yes, it's going to be pretty big. First, I want to thank Lord Flashheart for donating 10 memberships. That was very generous of you. Thank you very much. And second, the Gripen, it is like made to fight Russia, right? It's like it's designed for short runways. It's designed to operate on low quality runways. It closes its air intakes on the bottom when on the ground configuration, I believe. So the air comes from the top of the plane, so it's less likely to pull in foreign debris. Like it has lots of features for fighting Russia, which is exactly what you need when you're fighting Russia.
And what about the armament?
And it has a Meteor.
It has a Meteor.
Yeah, the very long-range missile, very modern missile, and depending on the variant of the Gripen, it can have very capable long-range radars and or very good electronic warfare.
But what was in the news so far? I don't think the Gripen E was discussed, was it?
I don't know.
I don't think model ever has been mentioned by any official sources.
So it's gonna be the Gripen E. It's confirmed. Erland just confirmed it.
Yeah. You think of who's dropping bombs now, huh? Where's your beautiful little bombs gonna go in our little bubble of EW?
What I wonder is if it can drop the baguette bombs.
The new French bombs, you mean?
Yeah.
I think so. At least it should be fairly easily possible, because if I saw that correctly, that bomb was basically made to be easily integratable into any sort of airframe. And I think currently they're using the MiG-29. So it would be, I guess it would be very surprising if they wouldn't be able to adapt it to Gripen.
And thank you for Kane Angelfire for donating 10 more memberships. Also very generous. Yeah, so the Gripen, it could change. I don't know how much it would change, but it could give Ukraine a lot of air power that they currently are in desperate need for. It also, obviously it depends on how many planes would be transferred, how long they will be transferred, or it'll take to get them, how much training they need, etc. And the ongoing support. Like, would this mean that Saab will start producing more planes? Like, what is their production rate? How much can they ramp it up? Because I don't think giving like 10 planes is enough. I think like maybe like 10 up front, and then I don't know how many can they make. Maybe like 10 a year. I have no clue. I don't know, but it's got to be something more long term for this to make sense for either side, honestly. So, but anything is better than nothing at this point, especially with legitimate, like, modern aircraft.
Yeah, also because it's a lot of it is also about deterrence, I would say. It doesn't only need to actually strike or shoot down an enemy plane. It just needs to make the enemy aware of it.
Yeah. Hopefully not getting shut down yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want to be too aware of it. Okay. So that's one topic. Now we have a brief interlude topic of ammo. There's been some good news on ammo. Today I read multiple sources. I don't know if any of them are true, but multiple saying that Ukraine is shooting significantly more now than they have been about 2 weeks ago. There's rumors of some sort of ammo delivery of some sort, or maybe Ukraine is tapping into reserves, knowing that an ammo delivery is around the corner. So anyway, there are claims that Ukraine is shooting a lot more. There's also claims from the Czechs that 300,000 of the rounds have been funded. And the way I read it was that those 300,000 could be delivered soon, and that the other 500,000 have not been funded. But it's weird because it seems that countries have pledged money, but the Czech government is saying they don't have it. So what I read from that is that the countries have said we will give you the money, but they haven't given the money yet. So like maybe it takes time to give money. I don't know how. Like, do you show up with a bag of cash? How does it work? How does a country giving $100 million work? I don't know, but that it's kind of a weird messaging. I feel like what's his name? Pavel. What's his name? Peter Pavel.
Peter Pavel.
Yeah.
Peter Pavel.
Oh, he said that all the rounds were funded, and then his government said that only 300,000 were funded. So I imagine that the difference is promised money. It hasn't showed up yet.
I think you're reading it correct. I think he said that the funds have been secured, while one of his government officials said that the money hasn't arrived yet. So you can interpret it that way at least.
And he kind of implied that the money that they have the 300,000 shells. That like I got the impression that they got the money and they made like the purchase order and now the shells can be delivered soon. That's kind of how I read it, and that the other 500,000 have not been funded yet. And it's not like Ukraine would need all the ammo up front, right? You wouldn't. It's not like you would deliver all 800,000 in one day. So like only having a fraction funded would be fine because you're not going to give it all at once anyway. So this could be why Ukraine is shooting more. That's just kind of what I was trying to say.
By the way, it's relevant if you pull up the article I sent, because there's an interesting statement from the Norwegian government there. Because previously it was stated by Peter Pavel that he had secured 800,000 rounds. But yeah, the Norwegian government says up to 1 million. And I don't think the Norwegian government is going to, be intentionally off by 200,000.
Yeah, you don't think that, huh?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we could say a lot of bad things about the Norwegian government, but yeah, that's way too much discrepancy. I think that means they have found more somewhere hidden in a basement. Maybe Gik opened his basement. I don't know.
He's been hogging all the ammo. This is why Ukraine has no ammo. Because Gik. He fills a pool with it and swims in the ammo.
I thought that's deterrence. I thought if I'm gonna open the door, it's gonna explode.
But yeah, that the way he phrased it when he first presented this thing, that he just found 800,000 rounds.
It's a private collection, okay? It was a private museum of 1 million rounds of ammunition.
And what I find interesting is that a lot of those rounds are most likely from countries which also make deals with Russia. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Or maybe countries that used to be friends of Russia but might not be friends. Like maybe countries that they were buying oil from Russia and then suddenly stopped buying the oil, like a few days ago. Maybe.
Oh yeah, I can think of one.
I mean, we're gonna find out sooner or later because, yeah, they're not gonna cancel out all the markings on all those shells.
Yeah, we're gonna. Maybe some of them are painted bright yellow. And maybe some of them have already been in Ukraine. You know what I mean? Maybe. Maybe they're bright yellow with a big red line across them. Anyways, that's my hint. Oh boy, my microphone just fell on my face. I'm gonna try and fix this. Okay. What's the next topic? Berdichi. Do you want to talk about Berdichi for a moment?
Yeah, I guess so. In terms of Berdichi, like today, we had footage of Ukrainian drones attacking Russian infantry in the town of Berdichi, both to the south and also to the north. I think the north isn't mapped yet, but it's already geolocated. So the northern route, it shows them rather close to the Abrams, which is actually where the front line is currently there on your map. But the south is interesting because also like there's this blue fighting symbol. The blue fighting symbol shows an ambush of Ukrainian soldiers, which are hiding basically behind the fence, and a Russian soldier seemingly in the dark, just strolling along the road.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. He was just like holding a big long thing. I couldn't even tell what it was.
And that's the next point I was going to raise. It might have been a flag. It might have.
I could buy that.
It might have been that was the poor guy they sent to put a flag somewhere and take a picture.
Oh, dude, it is totally a flag. You're right. It is. Dude, I'm just gonna take a screenshot of him. That is definitely a flag.
So
Oh no.
Yeah,
They sent a poor schmuck with a flag to go capture Berdici. Oh
yeah,
no.
exactly. And so it would be interesting. It would be interesting if soon we will see um, the Russians publishing, they captured Berdici with a flag somewhere. Because we saw exactly the same behavior in Krinky, right? They ran in, they posted, in front of a flag, and then they ran away. And in Krinky they died, and here he seemingly died as well, or at least he was severely wounded because he was
Oh,
shot.
he's done so. He's done.
Yeah,
They
okay,
emptied 2 magazines into him. I don't think he's gonna survive that one.
probably not. No, yeah, and the Ukrainians captured a flag, which is, I don't know, probably useless. But yeah, I mean, this is interesting. So whatever the Russians publish in terms of flag and Berdici in the next couple of days, I guess we can kind of think or remember that event, and then probably know that it isn't always like it seems. But certainly Berdici, it is under a lot of pressure. It is, in my opinion, also because Berdici is exposed to infantry assaults. They did try the mechanized assaults into Berdici, which all failed spectacularly. I mean, that road is just clustered with broken BTRs. And now it seems like they are just reverting to infantry assaults to capture more tree lines and then move their mechanized forces through the then more or less secured fields. But yeah, Berdici is worrying to some extent. I guess the main defensive line will be behind Berdici. We see a lot of FAPs and also MRLs shelling in that region, so it's going to be interesting. But it doesn't look too good.
The Ukrainians don't seem worried about Berdici. They seem to think the situation's going great. This is what I've seen. It makes me think that they're willing to give up the eastern part of town. Like it's kind of like a gambit. It's like they're telling Russia like just come in here. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. Come on, and then they wipe them out. And they're like, oh no, next guy, you come in, and then they wipe them out too. It's kind of like I feel like that's what they're doing here. It's like they're fine with the battle going on in this part of the town because they're not letting Russia get to the western part of town. Like they're keeping them at arm's length and allowing the fight go on like I don't know, like 100, 200 meters out. And they seem content with that. Like there's a sort of confidence I see in the way that they're conducting this. It feels intentional.
Yeah, that part might be intentional, but I think the risk is pretty high. But I also don't know any better way to defending it. But if you think about even the rooftops of the coke plant, which are able to ATGM that area, it's still a very risky bet. And we have yesterday there was a teaser by a Russian Telegram channel of 3 Bradleys seemingly broken down.
In
It
the western
it
part of town.
appears that a lot of the defense in that area might be relying on active defense. Because the positions they have, I'm not sure how good they are in terms of, are they on higher ground? How well can they actually see, and how exposed are they to airstrikes and also to whatever is on the coke plant, as an example. But from what we've seen so far, most of it has been active defense. Even when the Russians broke into Berdici with the BTRs, you saw the Bradley driving right next to one of those broken BTRs and shelling the road. So, and active defense, you can do that, but you risk more vehicles. You risk more of your own soldiers. So it's it might not be the most cost-effective way of defending any area, in my opinion.
Yep. Well, this is kind of the situation Ukraine got themselves in. The other option is massive shelling. So that's like, or large airstrikes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe massive shelling will become an option soon.
Yeah, and I hope so, because that might also reduce the amount of golf carts we see.
Yeah, there've been a lot of golf carts. But yeah, if you, everything hinges on the timing of the ammunition arrival. Um, how much ammo is going to come, how quickly, and when the first delivery will be. Those are what really matter right now. So, like, if the ammo is going to be here in tomorrow or the next day or something, and they can begin massively shelling, then allowing Russia to get into these positions and then just obliterating them with artillery, maybe a few airstrikes too. That could be a viable strategy. But we just, it's hard to know what will happen next because there's all these unknowns that will probably be solved soon, but we just don't know how it's gonna play out.
Yeah, and there's one thing which is interesting also with the M1150, which was broken down inside Verdici. So what might have also been the case, and we speculated if it might have been there to pull the Abrams, which was just straight ahead of that one. But what could also have been the case is that the M1150 was actually supposed to MIG-lig the houses, to make them untenable for any sort of Russian position, which would then speak towards giving up that half of Verdici. Erland, sorry, I was interrupting you.
Oh yeah. When it comes to the delivery, and what kind of effects it might have, I want to say that it feels like it's just a feeling, and I haven't, verified data to back it up, but it at least feels like Russia has, to at least a certain extent, overextended more than one spot. I mean, they've been losing enormous amounts of equipment near Avdiivka, also in the north, even though they have advanced. That's true. But if Ukraine suddenly gets more ammo, and at the same time, there are a lot of drones coming in now. The production rate of drones in Ukraine is skyrocketing. And they're also getting better drones and better munitions on those drones, which means they will be more effective than the ones we've seen previously. And now I'm talking about FPV drones, but I think the combination of that could be really, really bad for Russia. I'm not saying that it will collapse them or anything like that, but it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. What I found interesting is that even small companies all over Europe now, it's ever since it's been officially accepted as I don't know how you define that, but ever since it's official that kamikaze drones and so on are a legitimate use of arms or whatever. Ever since then, a lot of European companies have started producing them, and even some smaller companies in Germany, start producing those or developing those kind of drones. And obviously, that will help a lot, and should be able to help quickly as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, and there are some announcements also from Germany, for instance. They didn't say anything specifically, about the munitions, but they say they're making bombs for drones in one of their press releases, which I take that as a very good sign. That's one of the things that I've been very skeptical about with the drones, is that most of them have been using repurposed munitions. That's fine because they're effective, yes, but when you want to scale it, it's really bad, and also for safety reasons, it's really bad. So I want to see them going completely away from repurposing munitions for drones towards using only munitions that are purposely built for drones, for a lot of reasons: effectiveness, safety, and also probably reliability. We've all seen a lot of RPG warheads that didn't detonate, right? And you don't want that. You want it to detonate. Let's say you actually fly in on a very high value target, you hit the right spot and it doesn't detonate. That's not something you want. And we see the fuses are very rudimentary. We see that there has been a lot of accidents with these things. So when Germany says they're making bombs for drones, that's good. I don't know what that means, but I think it's a good sign.
Yep. I wish the US were doing this too, but the US is like, oh boy, it's stubborn. So stubborn. And I don't know. Anyway, it's frustrating.
Do you want to piss CJ off even more?
By posting a photograph of artillery? I can do that. I can post some artillery.
And also bring up the question about drones not being used or not being accepted to the use that they're really good at. Well, so I'll find it, but Norway fielded a drone drone swarm. I don't exactly understand what they want to do with this. That are directed, they're controlled from a CV90, and they're doing.
This is how we.
They're dedicated for artillery targeting. So it's exactly what some people have been shouting that Western armies needs to do immediately.
Yeah. So
and we're probably like light years behind Ukraine, but that some Western armies are doing something about this. I think that's interesting. There's the article, by the way.
Yeah. So I just want to bring to this.
Oh no.
CJ, he started this fight with a guy. I don't want to get into that, but people have been posting images of artillery. So yeah, this guy has some artillery, etc., etc. So I said, this is artillery, and CJ's like, no. Like, this is the only photo that's not artillery. Okay, CJ, I don't know about that. You shoot it from far away and it goes boom. Sounds like artillery to me. Anyway, let's open the article. Here it is. Uh-oh.
Wrong language. Sorry.
Oh no.
Well, but what I think is interesting there is that the drones are custom. It's not commercially built. They're being built by the research center of the military.
Oh, look at that! Look at that boy! Look at him!
Yeah,
he's ready to go.
So is this supposed to be a kamikaze drone?
No. It's a fire direction drone, observation drone.
Okay, so this one ensures that CJ still has a job tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
See, what we really need is the drone to come with its own howitzer built in, you know?
Yeah.
Then CJ's in trouble.
But this is really a step forward because, doctrinal, this is not allowed, right? In the US military, for instance, this is like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's illegal. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
But it makes total sense.
Yep.
I don't see anything that makes more sense than this.
Yeah. Yep. I think like most rational people realize. I think the issue of the U.S. right now is that the guy who's ultimately in charge of these sorts of decisions and in analysis in general, he is he's a certain way. he's he has his opinions and he will not address them. Like he's not willing to reconsider. The guy behind him who is likely to replace him is the opposite. Like could not be more different. And when he gets in charge, I don't know when that will be. I think it's in like 3 or 4 years. Um, but when he gets in charge, things will rapidly change. It's just like a slog until then. It's like, yeah, we have this dinosaur, basically.
But yeah, that there's probably a lot of things happening around that we don't hear about as well. But when we see press releases like this, it makes me happy because I think we can probably help Ukraine in a way more than we know. When there's this kind of droplets of information coming out, that means we have the capability to build drones that are specifically made for fire direction. That is huge, in my opinion. Because the Ukrainians have been, repurposing a lot of commercial drones, building them on their own. But if you get tech that is ready to go out of the box, made purposely to do fire direction, that is gonna make it a lot more effective.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like, are we really going to pretend that a guy with binoculars is better than a drone? Are we really pretending? Like, come on. Anyway. Okay, so Gik, do you want to keep talking about military or this sort of news, or do you want to do a brief interlude of something that is totally different?
Depends on what the interlude is about.
Well,
let's do the interlude.
Okay, so Russia posted a video of a fake attack. Well, it wasn't a fake attack. I don't know what's the right word. It was. They said it was a Ukrainian attack where Ukraine failed and everybody died, but in reality, it was a Russian attack that failed and everybody died. And it occurred right here near Pershnal-Trevneva. And the actual attack occurred in November.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So, and then, so, okay, so there's another thing that might be similar to this, but I just want to stay in this one for now.
Yeah, and let me just say one thing about that. So the Telegram channel which posted this is relatively small, but I have seen it being forwarded or basically retweeted by several larger Telegram accounts by the Russians. So I'm not entirely sure if that Telegram account might just be exactly for that purpose, such that one of the bigger accounts doesn't burn their fingers with obvious lies. But yeah, it's definitely something I'm gonna keep an eye on.
Yeah, this account, they've been around for a while, right?
Yeah, and they don't seem to grow that much, which is also interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe they're on the do not grow list, huh? So anyway, so there was this attack. I actually remember when this attack happened. If I remember right, the attack was mostly repelled by automatic grenade launchers, right?
Yeah, and a mine.
Yeah, and a mine. So that was one attack. That alone would not have been terribly interesting to me, but there was another thing that happened, I think the same day, if not, or maybe the next day. or the day before. I
The
can't
day
remember.
before.
Of something that we've dated to February 25th. Or I think it probably was the 25th. It may have been the 24th, and it was not after the 25th.
No, it was definitely not the 24th.
Okay, so
25th is the earliest day that this is possible.
I don't know about that. Because it did not happen before the 24th, right?
Yeah, definitely not. But also not before the 25th. Because on 24th, there are a lot of burn marks missing.
Well, yeah. So yeah. So then it could have happened on the 24th, like after the image was taken.
I'm not sure about that. I think I ruled out the 24th with good reason, and I think the 25th was the first image where it could have happened. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
I would need to go back into my analysis.
We eliminated the 27th. So it did not happen on the 27th. It did not happen on the 23rd. I'm pretty sure it happened on the 25th. The date, for people who don't understand why this matters, the date matters a lot because there was a point in time where Ukraine withdrew from these positions, and then there was a short gap followed by a large Russian assault. So the day matters a lot. Well, basically, there's this video that showed a bunch of infantry stacking up in a trench, and if you all these dots are heads, so you could just imagine how many guys are stacked up in a very short distance. They're in as tight as you can get, and it's what do you think, like 100 guys, maybe, like a company, or all
Could be, yeah.
shoulder to shoulder, basically. They eventually go over the top, as you will, and you we don't actually know whose shelling this is. That's kind of the point. But these infantry ran across this wide open field. Run, and tons of shelling with infantry running. They run, and they just go all the way across, right? So this video posted claiming it was Ukrainian. The Russians posted this video saying the infantry were Ukrainian and that all the casualties were Ukrainian. The problem is that the day this happened, Russia almost certainly controlled that tree line. And they controlled it as of the 24th or 25th. And this isn't just me saying it. This is a general consensus. Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees Russia controlled this tree line on the 25th. So this is why the date matters so much. Because we don't know who controlled it on the 24th. Probably the Russians. We don't know who it was, but it was probably the Russians. The 25th was definitely the Russians. So if this happened on the 25th, then it's very likely to be a failed Russian assault. If it happened on the 24th, it could go either way. And if it happened on the 23rd, which we ruled out, then it would definitely be Ukrainians. This is why the date matters. We know it wasn't the 27th. The 27th is totally ruled out. The 26th is almost certainly ruled out. It's like 95% ruled out. The 25th is the most likely. Like, I would say over 50% chance it was the 25th. And I think there's some chance it could have been the 24th. But even if it was the 24th, doesn't mean it was Ukrainians, because it could have been Russians on the 24th.
Yeah. But what this also tells me is that, you know, the time in between Ukraine leaving those positions and Russians actually assaulting from there. And I mean, we do have confirmed footage from the 28th definitely, because it was released on the 28th, if I remember correctly, which likely happened on the 27th with mechanized assaults. So the time in between Ukraine retreating and Russians like confirmed attacking is super interesting, because even if those are Ukrainians, and there's a certain likelihood, and we have to assume, because the footage, it states that, and we can't, like, with 100% certainty, we can't disprove it. So you have to kind of assume that it's true. But that also means that, given that time frame, in my opinion, like the retreat, there was always this talk about the orderly retreat and prepared and planned. In my opinion, this couldn't have happened, because the Russians, they were there so quickly. That was more of a rout. They basically forced them out and ran after them. This is what it looks like to me. And this running after them kind of is also what I hope to see in the video, but I can't prove it.
Yeah, so I wish I could show the imagery that we have, but I can't. But what you would see in the imagery is that there are fires that go on, and I mean literal fires, not like artillery, but there's fires in Orlivka, like right here in this kind of grassy area. There's fires here that spread over the course of like 3 or 4 days. And in the video, it has a certain state of fire in the video where it's not the video does not show the full extent of the fire. So that's how we know it's not the 27th, right? So it doesn't have the full extent of the fire.
Exactly, yeah. Some burn marks are missing, which should be there already.
And it doesn't have like the minimalist fire either. It has fire, but not all the fire. And we also don't know what caused those fires, which is another unknown to us. So really,
yeah, I think what's interesting, in the video, one fire is started, which is later visible by satellite image. So you can pinpoint exactly, prior to that date it happened.
Yeah. And we have a high res image of almost every day. I just kept buying images. I was like, I'll buy this one, I'll buy every day. I would buy every day there's not a cloud. That's basically what I did. So really, my point, the reason I want to bring this up is because almost everyone took that video literally, uncritically, and stated those were Ukrainians. No one took a step back and thought, is it though? When I first saw that video, I showed Gik and I was upset. You could ask Gik. I wasn't happy.
You put emojis into the spreadsheet.
It was the only time I've ever put a Ramanov emoji in a spreadsheet as a data entry. I have done it as a joke before, but not as a data entry. But I also said something else. I also said this was an attack. That was my first instinct, was this was an attack. Because I hadn't geolocated. I knew where it was. I knew exactly where it was. I knew it was Orlivka. I knew it was this field. It didn't take a genius to figure that out. But I hadn't really looked at it and saw anything. Because I thought, when I first saw it, that like maybe Ukraine was running, like attacking, like counterattacking. Like I thought Ukraine was counterattacking like to the east. Because I didn't like look at the map. I knew where it was, and I was like, I don't feel like locating this right now. This is an upsetting video. That was my initial response, and then when you were like, no, it was the other direction. I was like, wait, is that what? This is an attack. Like, it's obviously an attack. These are not people withdrawing. Like, it's obviously they're assaulting. And that's like, it's, to me, when I watch this, it's so obviously an assault. They're attacking. They are running with a purpose. Like, to a position. I don't know. We've seen people withdraw before. We have a lot of videos of people withdrawing, and it looks different. Like, it's a different vibe, you know? But we can't prove anything. That's what's frustrating. Even after buying a lot of money worth of images, I still can't prove it either way. Like, but I want people to know that you can't just take everything at face value. You have to be critical. Yeah. Anyways, that was
what I really enjoy about this, you know, not considering the footage or anything, but what I enjoy about this is that the Russians were so ahead of themselves, and you know, their propagandists were already talking about the assaults on Olivka basically on the 24th. They even took parts of Olivka, if I remember correctly, on the 24th. So you know, this being a Russian assault would be perfectly fitting their own storyline. So this is kind of what I found really ironic, because either they need to say, okay, we've been lying to you, or they need to say, you know, we've been lying to you with that footage. So either way, one thing is wrong. This is what I really was, or this is one of the goals that I wanted to highlight when I posted.
Yep, I agree. And you posted a bunch of screenshots of various Russians, right, saying that that they had various levels of control over Orlivka on that day. Oddly.
Yeah. My cat is next to me screaming. She doesn't like what we're talking about. We need to change the topic, I think.
Oh, we have a picture of that actually. Right there. Oh, sorry. Look how upset she is.
Yeah, that's her.
There is another one where the cat is awkwardly funny looking.
All right. So that's kind of the interlude of different topics that I wanted to fit into the
yeah. And by the way, I'm still expecting to get new footage from there, or new, you know, maybe some drones which captured destroyed vehicles or something like that. And I will, like, even now I'm thinking of looking through all the footage from the general area to see if I find any more drone strikes which might have been flying over the area, just to pin down more on the, you know, maybe we also didn't find some location, but it was flying there. Maybe it's worth for me to actually go look and see where Russians maybe even targeted in that field. And I would be so happy to find that. But until then, I guess I will personally assume it just, you know, it is what is stated, and yeah.
So the next topic is Russia's attempt to bypass Rabatina. Oh, here's a picture of a cat. There it is. There's your cat, Gik.
No, that's not her. She's way too small. Mine is a big.
Or is your monitor just that big?
Oh yeah, that might be.
This is a 30-pound cat, Gik.
Yeah, and my hand is giant as well.
Oh, of course. Well, it's also perspective. The cat, it's a very big table. But yeah, Russia is attempting to bypass Rabatina through this Verbova area. So lately, we got these footage of two destroyed PT-91s. which was upsetting.
Yeah, but they're old. They're really old.
Yeah. But I still don't like looking at them destroyed like that. Makes me sad. But the reason that we have this glorious footage is because a bunch of Russians decided to lay down and take a nap next to them. And the reason they're taking a nap there is because they're trying to bypass Rabatina. They're trying to do exactly what Ukraine completely failed at doing. Do you remember that time when Ukraine launched a very large BMP assault on a trench line and they lost like 9 BMPs?
I know it far too well. I remember it like it happened yesterday. That left a scar.
That scar is roughly located right here, right?
Further left.
Or is it right here? It's
Yeah,
right here.
exactly.
This is your, yeah, you would know. Your scar. Right there.
Yeah, and there's a trench system. It's on the other side of the tree line, but it's there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you remember why this assault failed? It's all well cataloged, you know. I will.
Yeah, because of higher ground, ATGMs a bit further southwest. I even have pictures of what I saw back then. That's how deep it burned into me.
Yeah. Okay. So I have it in 3D. Oh boy, I'm like hovering around like a weirdo. Here's the 3D. Oh, there's the flirks, and here's the 3D. But remember, this is exaggerated. This is 300% for the z-axis, the z-axis. But this is kind of the point. So this is facing west. So this is the Ukrainian position. Ukraine controls all of that hill. And this is where Russia is trying to advance. They're trying to advance through a valley where Ukraine controls all the high ground. They're doing the inverse of what Ukraine tried to do. And when Ukraine did it, they got completely massacred, basically. And now Russia's trying to do the same thing. So Ukraine not only controls the high ground immediately above it, but that high ground, it goes all the way up, and it kind of goes around. Okay, so it goes all the way up and around. So this high ground is all the way around. Of course, there used to be trees. Just keep in mind, the trees don't exist anymore. They got exploded. So if you thought, oh, they could hide behind trees, there are no trees. So yeah, this is exaggerated. There's even the north is a high ground that Ukraine is taking advantage of. We know that for sure, and even the northeast is high ground. So this is like really low. This is a bad place to be. This is a very, very stupid place to attack. When Ukraine attacked here, it was a train wreck, and now Russia's trying. I don't think it's going to work, personally. Maybe a week ago, I stated that, and when I said this, it was pretty ballsy of me to say, because at that point, the most up to date information we had was that Russia was in the middle of Rabatina. But even then, I said that Ukraine would at worst hold the eastern side of Rabatina so that they could shoot down on this valley. And it turns out that Ukraine has kept all of Rabatina, and they're shooting down on the valley. But this is Russia's current play to try to bypass. Try to bypass the town entirely. They tried attacking the town from the south. Failed. They tried from the west. Almost worked, but failed. They tried from the south, failed, and now they're like, we'll go around. I don't think it's going to work, personally. So, there's also some rumors today about this area in general that Ukraine is now shooting between 2 and 3 times as many shells per day as they were like 2 weeks ago. And as a result, Russia is not assaulting as often, and when they do, it's smaller groups. I'm not going to go on a rant about smoke, okay? I'm not. Who is the talented artist? It's a robot. It's human. I mean, the robots are coming for our jobs, okay?
Andrew, do you have a satellite picture of the trench system southwest of Robatna that we
There-
can use?
There's a public one, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can show. This is a public image. This is a public image that I just overlaid on my map to make it easier to geolocate stuff. But this is what the trench system looks like.
So what is the situation there right now? What is manned by Ukraine here? And
It looks like it's all manned by Ukraine. I mean, we see
Yeah.
bomber drones attacking it daily.
Yeah, it's all manned. I think maybe. Well, yeah. So this southern part, the southeast, does occasionally get hit by drones. This eastern part is definitely manned. It has to be because it like links. This northern part, I'm not sure. I don't really care about the northern part personally. And this middle part is definitely. This southern part, it's been
They recently fortified that part with a BMP on top.
yeah. And I'm not sure about this western part. Okay.
Yeah, that's the part I'm also not sure about it.
Yeah. And then this whole trench line is definitely this is the Bradley, right? Because there's a video today hitting right next to the Bradley. It was like right there.
No, it's not there.
But where's the Bradley then?
The Bradley is closer to Robotna on the road.
Oh, was
basically,
it that Bradley? No, I thought it was this Bradley.
I put the coordinates in a spreadsheet.
Whatever.
So you should technically have it for today.
Oh, I'm not looking at today. That was my problem. I was looking at yesterday.
Yeah.
There it is.
There are 2 Bradleys there.
Yeah.
I think like when I check the total losses we have, I think the Bradleys aren't on there. I know that we did count them. I'm just not sure if we never mapped them. But
It's
yeah,
possible that we mapped them before the date I made that list.
oh, that could be.
Because I think that list starts in July, and they may have been lost before that. Anyways, I'm at some point I'm gonna go through an update with all known imagery that I have, and it'll be fixed. I've just been. I really want a high res image of all of Robatna, and I haven't been able to get one yet.
I just wonder if there is any way Ukraine could reinforce those trenches so that they won't get hammered by FPV drones all the time.
Well, Russia keeps driving BMPs into the trench.
Yes.
I think there are 2 BMPs stuck there.
Yeah, I think so. I think here, this might make my computer sad.
I understand the importance of having that trench and manning it, but yeah.
Look at that. This is your overhead cover. It's a BMP3.
I'm not sure if people on YouTube saw it. I don't see it.
Oh, yeah. Well, showing it to you might be hard. This is this issue is an unfixable problem, unfortunately. This is the coding prowess of of our friends at Google. I will try to show you this though. Okay. Okay.
You're showing a Telegram channel now.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm fixing. I was trying to show this footage in a way that doesn't show things I can't show. So this is the overhead cover. It's a BMP3.
Yeah, I just want to say that, like, you see all those sheet metal plates. That's basically the only cover they have in certain areas of the trench system, and that does not protect you well against an FPV.
Yeah, I mean they're for the dugouts as well. But I agree. Considering how the trench looked like when Ukraine captured it, it didn't change much since
Oh,
then.
man. How could it? I mean, how are you going to get supplies there?
Yeah,
I mean, you're manning it as well.
Yeah, I wanted to, if I'm allowed, Andrew, to segue to Daniela's article, which is basically based upon this issue, which I think it's a big issue, and Daniela's tried to point to some issues that Ukraine needs to solve to avoid losing too many soldiers to this problem of trenches being completely without sufficient cover and being manned at all, because I think sometimes they don't necessarily need to be manned. In this situation, I'm not sure if it's possible to have an unmanned trench, but yeah.
So we've
FPV drones makes trenches incredibly dangerous, and that's, if you want to read Daniela's article, I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Give me. Yeah. Okay.
It's here. Yeah.
It is this article.
The first one, top one.
There's a D30, D30. I just want to tell you something. This D30 triggers me because it's been posted so many times. They're really proud of this one. Let me tell you. They post this D30 like 2 times a week. I've seen this so many times. Anyways, yeah. You could go through and read it. There are some trenches that we've seen that have been modified. They're mostly Russian trenches, to be honest. But what they do is they cover the entirety of the trench so you can't see in anywhere. So you can put, like, for example, you can cover the trench with logs and then cover the logs with like a tarp or a camo net. For a camo net, you would have to put a bunch of camo nets to make it dense enough that you can't see through it. And then on top of that, you might put a net, like a taut net. So the net would catch a drone. If a drone goes through the net, it hits the fabric underneath, and the fabric might catch on fire, but then there's logs under the fabric. So there are things like that you can do. It makes it so the trench is completely opaque. That might lead to other problems, though. Like when the trench is assaulted, like, I don't know, like you can't throw hand grenades, Maybe that's a good thing.
But yeah, I mean, there are several ways to mitigate these issues, and Daniela went through a bunch of them. My argument is that the best way is to not be in the trench at all, but sometimes that's not possible.
Yep.
But
Yeah, in the end, the question is, where are your eyes? Your eyes will be drones, I guess, and the rest should then maybe be some sort of foldable solution. So you can open up the trench to make it, infantry usable.
Yeah, because if you cover the whole trench, then you're not going to be able to use that part of the trench as a firing position. So, it's a very complicated problem. The whole point of the trench is to be a defensive position. But if it's not used as a defensive position, my argument is then why are you there in the first place? But yeah, he explores a lot of these different arguments and more of a theoretical approach, but he uses a lot of examples on the issues and problems, challenges the Ukrainians have. So recommend to read it if you're interested in the.
Yeah, I put a link in the description.
And to be clear, Erland, it's not only what the Ukrainians have, but also what any other military will have in the future if they fight any sort of war.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people think that you can defeat this simply by having electronic warfare measures, but no, you're never going to completely get rid of it. The last thing I saw was that the Russians have done something actually very ingenious. They've basically made a wire-controlled FPV drone. I'm not sure if it's completely true, if it was successful, but basically an optical, very, very thin wire that is dispersed from the drone while it flies, so you cannot jam it. There's always going to be ways to not be jammed.
I'm gonna draw a picture. I'm gonna draw a pic. Oh boy, that's not what I meant to do. Here. So here we're gonna draw a picture today, and my paintbrush is very big. Make it a little bit smaller. And so one type of trench that I've seen the Russians digging, I've never seen Ukraine dig this, but there's a trench where what you do is you dig down like this, and then you cover the top with logs like this, and then you cover the logs with like a meter of dirt like that. So then you can like live in this little hole that you made in the bottom, and you can put like a mound of dirt in the middle so that you can walk down this dirt like a little path, and the dirt is such that when you stand up, your head is like that high. But obviously you can crouch to be in cover, and then you can go down in your little hole. So I've seen Russians digging these, and there's a bunch of this sort of trench around Rabatina. And what Ukraine does is they take a dive bomber drone that has like a little bomb, and it zooms down like this and then flies up, and it launches the bomb down, and it like bounces around and blows up in here with thermal barrack grenades. So Ukraine has been doing that. So they have like one drone come like this way, and another drone come this way, and then they blow up both sides. And they like kind of fly down the trench doing that, blowing up the whole trench with thermobaric grenades. So that's one type of trench that I've seen happen. Another type of trench is that I've also seen this, where you could take this sort of hole, and then you can put logs across like this, but you have a gap between the logs, so you have a log and a log with like a big gap in between, so it might be like 2 meters or something. And on top of that, you can put logs in the other direction like this, and then put a net on top, and then put a camouflage netting on top, and then put a net on top of that on posts, so that then you can see out of this gap, but you have this overhead cover from the drones. So the drone can't fly in because you have your net completely covering it, but you can see and shoot out. This is another type of trench I've seen.
Yeah, but that trench is not very successful because you typically see, the second drone will already get through the netting. First one just drops, on top of the netting, and then you have a hole that then, there's just 10 more drones coming, and then the logs will fly.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you had like maybe 100 FPV drone strikes a day totally, every day, that was probably very effective because you were never going to get like 10, 15 drones in one trench line per day because you could probably do repairs in between. But now there are thousands of drones every day. So, yeah, trench is shit. That is the conclusion, in my opinion. You don't want to be there. You want to do everything to not be in a trench.
Are drone guns useful? Honestly, not commonly. I have seen so few instances of the anti-drone guns actually working.
I mean, we probably wouldn't see those because the videos will likely not be released because they're too boring. But I have definitely seen enough videos of drones hitting on the person holding the gun, aiming at the drone.
Yeah.
And I think just last week I've seen 2 or 3 of those videos with drone guns involved.
I think the problem of a drone gun is that the drone gun, you have to make like certain assumptions. So you have to attack certain frequencies or certain bands or whatever. And in those assumptions, all the other bands cannot be attacked, right? So I think that's the problem, is that they're too specialized in what they do.
Yeah. And also one of the other issues, as far as I understand, is that often it just blinds the drone, but they can still control it. So if it's already in its final or in its terminal flight path, it will just continue flying.
Yeah. Do most trenches have overhead cover? No, most don't.
Well, most that are currently being fought aren't.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean,
the Russians, they have been fortifying so much ground. It's really, it's incredible. If you follow Sentinel through the Russian occupied zones, it's horrible. They've been turning this entire land upside down.
Yep. So the trenches have dugouts that you can go underground, and there are bunkers that are even more prepared than a dugout. So there are underground components, but most, the trench by and large, is open usually. Whether we see a drone that can hunt down FPV drones, I doubt that. You need to destroy the recon drones. The recon drones are everything. I can't stress that enough. If you don't have a recon drone, you don't have an FPV drone. You can't just fly a drone out hoping you find something, because you're not gonna find something 99% of the time. Most of the time, everybody is hiding underground. People don't like just walking around outside. It's scary. So, or they're hiding in a bush, or they're hiding in a forest or something. They're not out and about.
Except for wild division drones. So 82nd here in the Robotin area, they seem to find so many strollers. Literally, I don't know where they all come from, but Russians just individually walking around in open fields. I don't understand it.
They might be the traumatized remnants of a failed attack walking back home. The walk of shame.
Might be.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the trenches and how I just want to highlight that the best solution, in my opinion, is to not be in the trenches because they are incredibly dangerous now, and they're gonna just be more and more dangerous.
You have to be somewhere though.
Yeah, I know, and I know that most of the time it's not possible to not be in the trenches, but if you can find a way to avoid being there most of the time, that's going to save a lot of lives. So that being either remote controlled systems, more drones to surveil, um, something that needs to be done on a large scale just to save more lives. And I know that in many situations it's not possible to achieve that, but yeah, as we see the drone production increasing on both sides, what you guys see every day now on these videos is just going to increase and increase and increase.
Yeah. So we have a question. How common is the airburst ammo? It's very rare, but we're seeing it happen. It might be getting more frequent. It's so rare that you can't even measure its frequency, but maybe it's getting more frequent because it's interesting.
Today there was one video of an airburst drone, and I'm not entirely sure if it really was an airburst or if maybe the drone was simply shot. I'm not entirely convinced, but yeah, it might happen more frequently. But also, then again, we did see airburst drones something like, I don't know, half a year ago. We did see them back then.
Yeah.
And since then, they haven't increased too much. So I guess we will have to wait for it.
This is clearly a different though. This is like a different thing.
Yeah, that one video, which like was even discussed if it's drones at all. That was different. If that's going to be more frequent, it's going to be devastating. And I really hope that Ukraine is going to be having that as a proprietary use for some time.
Yeah. So, which side has an edge on recon drones? I don't think it matters because both sides are doing recon pretty well.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference. Like in terms of Mavics, frontline high quality recon, I would say that Ukraine definitely has better capabilities right now. But in terms of where we see Orlans and so on, compared to where we see Shark drones and so on, either Ukraine doesn't release as much footage, or they don't have the same capabilities as of now. Well, I personally see a lot more Orlan footage in Ukrainian rear than I see Ukrainian footage.
You have to be careful the way you think of that, though, because Ukraine doesn't necessarily need drones to see things, because they have access to military satellites that Russia doesn't have access to.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's areas that they might just not need a drone.
And also they wouldn't release footage from the drones unless they have something to show. And because they don't have enough long-range strike munitions, the drones can be observing stuff, but they're not going to be able to destroy the equipment.
Yeah,
they
I'm just
see a lot more than what they show to us, for sure. And they show it only when they want to show some success.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But one of the Ukrainian units, 14th Regiment, like I used to love their videos because it would always be those recon drones from high up. You would see a lot. You would be able to geolocate strikes and typically it's high value targets. And as of, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something like that, all you see from 14th Regiment is FPV drones. So they're basically joining the club of, annoying me and making my life harder. So, yeah. Please go back to recon drones.
Yeah. But more to my point, I don't think recon drones edge-wise matters. What matters is the availability of the weapons you have to take advantage of those drones. and Russia has vastly more. They have more missiles, they have more cruise missiles, they have more bombs, they have more planes, they have more guided, TV guided missiles. They have more anti-radiation missiles. They have more long-range drones. So that's the issue. That's why the recon drones matter so much. Because all of those advantages that Russia has, they wouldn't be negated because they would still have all those advantages, but they wouldn't be able to find targets. And without the targets, those weapons aren't going to do much. We have another question. What do we mean by the airburst munitions? Basically, from what I can tell, they have a. It's hard to know because we don't know exactly, but just watching the footage, it looks like there's a drone that drops a weapon. The weapon apparently has like a little parachute, which slows the thing down. The drone flies away as fast as it can, and the thing explodes like a few seconds later. So it explodes in the air. So basically, you have like a little quad drone, like a normal drone, like maybe a Mavic or FPV drone, like who knows. It's flying at the target. When it gets over the target, it drops the munition and keeps on going. And then a few seconds later, or a moment later, whatever, the thing explodes in the air and it sprays shrapnel into the ground. And it seems it looks directed, like it's not exploding in a sphere. It's exploding in like a line, so it like makes a line of shrapnel on the ground. It's directed, like a shaped charge or whatever. Do you remember what day that was? Because I don't.
Yes, I do remember it because it's 28th and it's in Lastochkine.
Okay. Where am I? Why am I not remembering where the hell that is?
Lastochkine and Olive.
I was just like, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, there. Okay. I don't know why. Like, anyway, that just happened.
Yeah, it's the southern drones here.
Yeah. So you can sort of see the blood. Okay, this is a great picture. Am I showing the picture? Okay, it's kind of small. I'll make it bigger. Okay, so this is what I mean. So it blows up in the air, and it makes this line of shrapnel on the ground. All these little puffies, these are all the shrapnel hitting the ground. So it made a little line. So yeah, this is what we're talking about. We don't really know anything. Oh boy, we don't really know anything about this weapon other than just what it looks like and what we can see.
And what we're told, we're told those were kamikaze airburst FPV drones. I think.
Were we told they were kamikaze? Because I don't.
I think we were told so. I mean, I think it was publicly stated in that thing.
I'm gonna look at it because I thought they dropped it.
Yeah, I have a video. I'll show it. I'll send it now. It drops something in the air.
Okay.
And then that explodes. You can show it safely, by the way. It's in the Discord.
Yeah, so you see the thing go like this, right?
You're not showing the video, man.
Okay. Oh, am I not showing? My bad. Okay, so you see the thing, you see the drone fly in on this angle here, right? And it explodes somewhere in the middle. So there's like the little white thing. But the key point is it keeps going.
Yeah, I like when I saw this, I was like, I think this is a purpose-built munition for this specific purpose. Because I saw a lot of people saying it's like the Russian version of the Claymore. I'm almost 99% sure that is bullshit. The explosion pattern doesn't match up. The dispersion pattern of the shrapnel doesn't match up because it's way too far away. And the dispersion of the shrapnel is very accurate, to be honest. The only thing I can speculate, like in my head, imagine that this is some sort of drone dropped munition that has some sort of drag system. I think the thing that continues is the drone, and it drops the munition midair.
I think so too, but I don't know for sure, but I think so.
Yeah, I mean that would be the perfect way to solve it. To be honest, if that's the case, that would be perfect in my opinion, because then you could just reuse it, and if you have that ammunition, produced in large quantities, with the way the Russians currently assault in many fronts, that's going to be really, really, really useful.
Look at that dispersion. I would say that that's at least 35, 40 meters up in the air. That's a very, very accurate concentrated dispersion pattern.
It might even work against golf carts.
Yeah. See, my thing is though, I think you need like 2 or 3 or 4 of them going off simultaneously.
I agree. I think that's you. What you want to do here is to drop a belt right in the air, like a. Yeah. You want to drop at least 4, I think.
Okay. So I have one more topic left on my my little notes here. And this is honestly a topic I know the least about. But it involves a video that came out today in Klishivka of these are all the vehicles.
The parking lot.
Yeah. So this happened. So we have some pictures. Okay. So yeah, if you could click it, zoom in, there's like all these vehicles. I identified some of them as the best I could. This one's is a BMP. I can't identify what kind. I think this is a BMP-1, another BMP-1, a tank, BMP-2, 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 BMP-1, BMP-1, BMP-1. These are all BMPs, so I can identify them. And this is a BMP-3 and another tank. So that's a great day at the office. Everything went great. Attack went to plan.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think if you zoom out a bit, where it currently ends, and that's basically all that is seen in the footage. But what we do know is that a bit further to the southwest here, there's also still an abandoned tank and some other vehicles. I think one of the vehicles might actually be really old, but there is still a tank which I think has the tracks, coming from that direction. And that image or that knowledge is at least as old as early February.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that all those vehicles might have been part of a January attack. But I also still plan to look up when did anyone talk about this giant mess up here?
Yes.
Because this is ridiculous.
It's been frustrating me. I have been looking for high-res imagery of this area literally every day since November. I can't find one single good day of image. It's like every day is cloudy or there was no image that day. It's never been a good day because I would have loved to buy an image in like January so we could see things like this, but not available. It's either cloudy or it doesn't exist. The good thing now is that we're entering spring, and spring should have a lot of clear days in it, and we should be able to get some good footage. I just have to decide where to spend the money because it is expensive, but we're gonna have to decide which areas we want to buy. Because I would love to get an image of Turney. I'd love to get an image of Rabatana. I'd love to get an image of this area. But yeah, we'll see.
And by the way, just as a note, those vehicles, they were all unknown before, and they were released as part of I think a Women's Day message. So
Yeah.
like when I first saw the video today, I clicked through it and all it had was, like, I don't know, greetings and stuff like that. I didn't even notice that there were vehicles in there, and only later I think Hideauto and from Pentamon's Discord, he put it up there, and that's the first time I noticed that actually, what I'm trying to say is that, like, I would have completely missed this because it was literally something like 3 seconds in a 1 minute clip showing those frames of utter devastation.
Yeah, and it just shows that everywhere that I've looked, not literally everywhere, but like in the grander scheme of things, like I'll talk about Nova Nikolaevka as an example. When I bought Nova Nikolaevka, I found 135 vehicles I didn't know were destroyed. 135. Okay, so I bought the whole area here, not the north part, but it was like here. This was like one image, and like this was the other image, right? So, it was 135 vehicles, and we haven't even identified all the vehicles there yet. There's probably more because we remember like we got like a video of like just like oops, sorry. Yeah, we got a video of like right around here. And in that video, we found like 3 more vehicles we didn't know were there. They were in the image that I bought. I just didn't see them because they're hard to see. And I'm sure there's more. There could easily be another 50 vehicles here that I just haven't seen because it might look like a snowdrift or something. Or it might just look like a rock, Sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference, even with high res. Like if you get a vehicle, throw some snow on it with a snowdrift, and throw like a tree on top, and suddenly it just looks like a rock, So there might be a whole bunch of those here, and that's just one place. Now, if I bought another image of like here, I'm sure it would be the same, and here, I'm sure it would be the same. Every single place I've ever looked, there were vehicles that I didn't know were there. Every single time. And I'm sure that if I were to buy an image of the Klashivka area, I'm sure there'll be dozens of images dozens of vehicles that we didn't know were destroyed. And the same if we were to buy an image of Turney, which I really want to do. Turney is going to be expensive because it's so huge. It's such a huge area. But when we get an image of there could be so many vehicles we don't know about because they've been assaulting with large vehicle assaults for months. There's so many vehicles we don't know about on both sides. So if we, with an image there, we could probably learn a lot. So yeah. That's kind of my comment to people who say that, like, we find a lot of like damaged and destroyed vehicles every day, and people are like, "How could these numbers be true? They're losing so much." And it's like, we're undercounting. Like, their vehicles. There's so many more that we don't know about yet, and we may never know because they get recovered. Because we don't get an image, and then they get recovered, and we don't even know what happened. Yeah, that was the last topic I wanted to talk about. Is there any last thing you wanted to say?
No, not really.
Okay.
I want to mention the Chinese shells, if that's possible,
Okay.
because I think it's telling that I think yesterday or one of these days, China sent some diplomatic envoys to Ukraine to talk about what their peace plan. I think they have this 10-point peace plan still they push. But today these images surfaced that basically proves that China is sending artillery shells to Russia. They're in the Discord.
Yeah. So
They're very, very good evidence that
so
they're
if
supplying.
if they are Chinese shells, does it mean they're from China?
They could be going through North Korea for sure.
Could China be giving ammo to a different country and that country be giving it to Russia?
Sure.
Because that Ukraine gets ammo like that all the time. Ukraine has had Israeli ammo. Israel, to my knowledge, has never sent any ammo to Ukraine. But that has not stopped Ukraine from shooting Israeli ammo. And could that be what's happening here? That some other country is supplying this ammo. Even, and that country they might be doing it with China's permission or without.
Sure.
But this is the image of the ammo.
And it has Russian markings, but it is a Chinese shell.
Yeah, and this is the Chinese shell. There are Russian-speaking countries that are friends with China. I don't know. I have no answer, but it is interesting. It's much higher quality than North Korean ammo, isn't it?
Yep.
It's not even
Yep.
rusty.
Yeah, it looks brand new almost. It looks. It's worrying for me, but we'll see.
I wonder what will the Russians do with a plastic ammo box? Because they're so used to wood. Do you think it confuses them?
I don't have an answer, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's all we have to talk about for today. Unless you have some last thing to bring up. One small point. There have been more and more widespread Shahed attacks, and to me that points to an imminent missile strike. To my knowledge, I don't think Russia has shot major missile strikes on the weekend. Have they? I can't remember them doing it. But maybe. But I kind of think they would wait till Monday or Tuesday. But we'll see. There have been a lot of times where they've done a missile strike just as our stream ended. So
Our stream ended.
That please tell me that wasn't your prediction.
that's not my prediction. I'm not making any prediction. I am merely stating that there have been widespread Shahed attacks. I think last night Ukraine said they shot down 30 or something like that. I think 18 of them were in Odessa, and I think 8 were here. I can't remember where that's called. Anyways, so yeah, just keep your eye out on that and be prepared for a major missile strike. And by major, I would assume between 20 and 30 cruise missiles, plus more ballistic missiles on top of that, and plus Shaheds. So
I wanted to point out that it's Giks' time to do a prediction.
no, it's too dangerous. Last time was too potent. We have to.
Yeah, I agree.
It was too potent. I mean, Jesus. We're afraid of the consequences. You know, it could have. He could make a prediction hoping for one thing, and it could come exactly true in the way that he doesn't want it to be true.
Yeah. I think next week we need another prediction.
Yeah.
But you need to be specific then.
Hyper.
Way too. Yeah, I left way too much room for interpretation there.
Yeah, you did. There's a lot of interpretation. Like, I think they'll cross the river. All right. So, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for coming. You can share and retweet and whatever. Press like, or, do those things. And thanks for coming.
Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Bye.